All right, what's going on, guys? Be real with the questions too. We want to hear you guys' questions, so send them to me all throughout this conversation if you could. We'd love to hear it. So I'm introducing the next guy who, what you see here, he's working behind the scenes every day to make this work, and I'm fortunate to work in the same office as him every day. And even though we only have about 30 to 45-second conversations passing in the hall, I see the work he puts in every day. So honored to announce our president and CEO, Chris Hendrix.
Good morning. I don't know about you, but that video, I got the hair on the back of my neck standing up after that. Just a little shout out real quick for Jason Johnson from our marketing department. He put that whole thing together, so give him a round of applause. Good stuff. I feel like I'm a little nervous right now. I don't know about you, but we have these conversations all the time. Unfortunately, it's on the way to and from the restroom.
Yeah, right.
So
not in front of 200 people.
I've got a few notes and let's hit it.
All right. So now that we got a little bit of time, I mean, how are we doing? How's the company doing? You know, what's it look like right now?
So, you know, I think any year, you know, I try to stand up and give everybody a little bit of a perspective on how the company's doing. I think we're doing some things very well. I mean, we continued this year to grow. Recently, we acquired Century 21 AAA North. Would you guys all give a little noise and shout out? And so we're so grateful they're part of the team. They have 3 offices, or we now have 3 offices, one in Macomb, one in Sterling Heights, and then one in Almont as well. And it looks like we're going to end the year up. Not that this is a numbers-orientated meeting, but we're going to end the year up about $900 million in closed sales volume, about 3,600 closed sides.
Not bad.
And for those of you who don't know, I mean, I'll give you just a couple. I don't know where you fit this in. Maybe this is your listing presentation or whatever, but we are now one of the top 200 brokers in the United States, according to Real Trends. On the Century 21 side, we're a 2,100 club organization. We're actually, I'm not counting, but I think we're right on the edge of 25.
Yeah, right, of course.
And then on the Coldwell Banker side, you guys are well aware, we were a Chairman's Circle company this year again. And I think we did a lot of good things. I think Darwin and his department put together, you know, we had some great celebrations this year with our top producer club, our luxury home class. We had 50 people go through our intro to luxury class. And, you know, I was counting the other day, Darwin, I think we've taught 30 this year out of your department, counting Hot Topic Tuesdays, Deep Dives. So that's the good stuff, right? But I think, you know, we talked the other day, and I think one of the things that I wanted to kind of talk about, I should mention, we have almost 17% of our agents enrolled in our marketing department, which is over 85 agents. So if you don't know about our marketing department, you're looking for a competitive advantage next year, make sure you stop at their booth and talk. So, but I think there's a lot of things we got to get better at, that we can do better. Number one, we got to get better at consistently taking more listings. And I'm looking at John Goings and he's smiling. You know, I stayed up late last night on that one, John. But we've got to get better. And there's a lot of reasons for that. We owe it to our clients to get better at that. We owe it to each other to get better at that. But I think there's a huge, even more than any time I can ever remember since I got my license, I think there's a massive opportunity to dominate this market.
Oh, yeah.
And so we got to get better at that. But we did a survey in the fall, and I don't know if we can put that slide up for a second, but our survey really came out, and this is what you told us we need to do better. And so much more than Chris sitting up here saying, I think we need to do this better, we could do this better. There were 4 really distinct things that the leadership team and I are very, very focused on. Number one, more company-generated leads. And so I think that's something we fell off a little bit this year. We started off with an ISA program. It kind of fizzled. There's a lot of reasons why it fizzled, but I think that's something we're going to put a focus on. We've been interviewing different platforms all fall. I wish I had something to report saying this is it or that's that, but we are going to continue to work on that. One of the things that came out of the survey was you guys wanted more company-generated marketing materials, more social media materials, and even more resources. where you guys can go record videos, you guys can go in and do podcasts. So Alex and I have talked about it with his equipment, but also by district. The district managers are going to be setting up something in early next year where each district will have a room with video equipment. I think, Steve, I think we have it on the C21 side right now. But we're going to be working on that. More local training was kind of, very loud and apparent on the survey that versus big meetings in Grand Blanc or big meetings in Troy, which maybe fit half the company, but to do more localized training where, maybe Darwin takes his team and comes to you. Or maybe Darwin takes his team or brings Bob with him and they do something on the east side, or they do something in Metro Detroit, or maybe they even go up to Midland or do something in that direction. And then last but not least, one of the things that came out, and I think this fits really well with taking more listings, is you guys asked for updated, fresher, more relevant listing slides for your presentation. So those are the things we're really laser focused on. Those are the things that, we know we need to get better at, and that the senior leadership, we had a senior leadership meeting in September, which we met with the district managers. And then we just came off the week before last, our branch manager meeting. And this was the topic of everything we talked about there. But I think more than anything else, we just got to get more focused as an organization. We had dinner last night and we were talking about it. And I think, in our obsessiveness to bring something new to you guys all the time, which I think that's a good trait, right? We're always looking for something new. We're looking for a competitive edge. I think, Alex, sometimes what we do is we end up chasing some squirrels when we haven't mastered what we already have. And that falls on me. I have to own that because a lot of time I'm setting the tone for our leadership group and they're trying to follow my direction. And so I need to be more focused next year. I need to be more intentional, and those are things we're working on.
That's the honesty right there, right? So you actually got a chance to hear what it is we're working on. So there's a lot of noise out there with the NAR lawsuit and everything else. The simple answer to that is take more listings. Don't worry about buyers. But what are your kind of 2 cents? What is your idea on the whole thing that's going on?
So I want to play a video for you guys real quick, and then I'll give you my thoughts on it. Jeremy, if we can cue up that video. This is one of my industry experts, and I want to give you his thoughts on the lawsuits recently and kind of specifically the ones last week. So let's see if we can cue this up. This is the awkward pause.
Come on,
portion
technology.
Of the morning.
No?
Not going to come?
Of course not. All right, we're good.
Okay, so the video, and maybe you guys write this down. The video was a quick video by Jared James. Everybody knows our friend Jared James. I think he's just out there in every single capacity. I mean, NAR's lawsuit and the changes in the industry really isn't his forte. He runs a coaching organization. But I thought he made some great comments. And one of the things he made on the comment, and by the way, I want to set this tone because newspapers always sell the truth, right? There's no misinformation out there, is there? There's never articles put out where they're trying to be dramatic, are there? So I want to read you an article. I actually printed this one out, and let's read it together.
And he highlighted it too.
So it says, realtors are liable for $1.8 billion in damages for their commission inflation. Here's what I think of that article. That's a joke. It's a joke. I mean, but that's what journalists do. I haven't had a journalist call me and say, what do you think about this lawsuit? How does it affect your agents? Are you worried about it? Are you not worried about it? What do you need to change? What do you think about it? They don't call. They don't call us in the field, do they? Have anybody in this room got a call? Maybe you got a call from a customer. But if any of you got a call from a journalist, so here's what I want to do is I think there's 2 choices in life. We can either be that company that plays Chicken Little, and every time an announcement comes out, we freak out, we run around the building, or there's the other extreme, yes, which we stick our head in the sand and we ignore it. Is there danger in both? Yes. So I guess what I want to give you, and I wrote down some notes, a couple things, is I'm not worried about it. And listen, if I'm not worried about it, you shouldn't be worried about it. Why do I say that? Because if anybody's going to jail in an orange jumpsuit, why are you guys laughing? Who's going? And if I'm not worried about it, I don't want you to worry about it. So if you get a customer call you, maybe it's a listing from 17 years ago, they want a kickback of the commission. By the way, that's a RESPA term. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
never mind the kickback. They want compensation for it. You tell them that you've already consulted with your broker, and because of the way we operate, do business, train, we're not worried about it either. And let me tell you why we're not worried about it, and without going too deep in it, is there's a couple things. I mean, from day one when I acquired the company, we've been practicing designated agency. And we've been using this form. Now, I know I met a new agent that I think is a week on the job. You need to write this form down. The rest of you maybe have heard of it, an exclusive right to sell, which we fully disclose. And Rachel, am I right? We fully disclose, and we talk about commission, don't we? We don't tell them that that's by law. We don't tell them it's unnegotiable. They may ask you, Stephanie, can you reduce it to 5%? And you can say, no, based on the level of service I provide, I can't. But we don't tell them by law it's illegal, correct? We tell them that that's what we charge, and here's what you get. And Stephen, we're worth every dime, correct? So I don't worry about it because that's just what we do, right? I also don't worry about it is because I'll give you another form. Our new agents over there going, oh my gosh, this is like my head's swimming. We've used since day one, and those agents that have been with me forever use an exclusive buyer agency contract. Everybody familiar with that form?
And on that
form,
signed.
What's that?
They should be getting signed.
And you should be using it on every deal. And if you haven't used it up till this point, we can't change what's in the rearview mirror, but use it going forward. And there's a component in it. We actually put one in the back of your books. You can look at it later, check at it. But there is actually a component where we talk commission, right, John? We talk commission. We talk how they're going to pay commission. Now, if all of you have been doing the last 4 to 5 years, you've been running around, Cheryl, and you've been telling all your customers that commission is free. And commission is not negotiable. If you've been doing that, then you need to adjust how you're having a buyer consultation meeting. But if you look at the form Marge just put out, and it should be in the back of your book or on the table, but the form is very clear. Here's how commission works. By the way, how many in here are used to talking about commission? Do you guys ever get questioned on commission? Once in a while? Every day? It's part of human nature. It's what you do when you go shopping. John, can you take anything off this? No? Okay, thanks for asking, right? But you need to be able to have that discussion with confidence, and you need to be able to tell them that, hey, if the seller doesn't pay commission, if the seller isn't offering buyer broker commission, Adam, you're gonna have to pay 3%. Oh my gosh, I'm not paying 3%. That's just fine. Phil, what we're gonna do is we're gonna negotiate that in the offer, so that it never legitimately comes out of your pocket, but yet we need to cover it. Here's the great thing, James. The great thing is if the seller offers buyer commission, 3%, guess what I'm gonna do with that 3%? I'm gonna take it off and offer a credit. Does everybody feel like they could say that like right now if they had to? We're prepared. I'm not worried about it. And here's the best thing, maybe the icing on the cake, is if you're worried about someone coming after us and having claims, we work for the best brands in the planet, who is owned by a company called Anywhere Real Estate. Anywhere was proactive with this, protecting all of us, and they actually settled ahead of time. Most of you have probably seen the announcement. By the way, they did not admit any what? Wrongdoing, but they settled for a little bit more than I carry around in my wallet, $85 million. And they settled so that all of Century 21, all of Coldwell Banker, and all of its affiliates would be released of any and all claims. Now that hasn't officially settled because it's part of a big lawsuit, but the terms have already been negotiated. So have I calmed you a little on the claims? Have I calmed you to not review every single? I get wound up on this. I know it's the only question too.
I know. But we can only focus on what we can control. right? We have no control of what's going to happen with that. Plus, you guys are covered anyway. If anyone's going to jail, it's him. So like, we're good. You got nothing to worry about. That'd be a good new headshot. Put him in an orange jumpsuit and we're good. So,
All right. So I wanted to hit that. I know I got long-winded on that, but I'm very passionate, and frankly, it annoys me. It's noise. It's a distraction, as if our jobs aren't hard enough. You read all this thing. I mean, I've gotten emails from people I haven't seen in years saying, I bet you're not sleeping at night. I say, well, I don't sleep at night anyways, but I especially am not losing sleep because of this. All right, let's move on.
taken care of, all right? So now, it's tough out there, right? Whether you're representing a buyer or a seller, some buyers are showing 50 houses and they want to still under ask. Some sellers are still thinking that it's the spring, summer market and they're way overpriced. So given where we're at now and where we're headed, 2024, 2025, interest rates and everything going on, what's your take on the market conditions and where we're headed?
So I don't think any of us know. And, if you look at the experts, I consider the experts, Fannie Mae, right? The Mortgage Bankers Association, at times, I think Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, and they change their forecast every quarter. They're changing their forecast for prices. They're changing their forecast for interest rates. They're changing their forecast for sold volume. And so, I think there's a lot with it. I mean, let me just kind of tackle the elephant in the room. I think interest rates are real. I personally made an effort to go talk to each of our lenders next door. I hope you do too. It is tough for them. It is very tough. I mean, I read something the other day that said 33 months ago, we had the lowest interest rate in history. 23 months later, we have the highest, 33 months later, we have the highest in 23 years. Now, I'm looking at some of the seasoned agents in the room, and Linda, do you remember when interest rates, 11%, but that doesn't carry any weight for us, right? That's like the uphill both ways speech, but that's fact. The good news is I saw last week the rates dropped to 7.36%. I mean, so I think there is some stabilization, but I think the big impact, the big hurt, I believe's already happened. Now, I don't even want to make eye contact with my lender friends in the back of the room because they're going to critique me as they should. But when the rates jumped from 4 to 6, it immediately priced out 12 million buyers at the $400,000 home range. Massive, right? No sugarcoating it. Okay, I'm sure some of you will work with buyers that were at the 250 range that a year later they had to buy at 350 to get the same monthly payment, right? But that was huge. If the rates go from 8 to 10, by the way, are they going from 8 to 10? We're not allowing it. But I'm just saying, if they go from 8 to 10, that prices out half the amount of buyers. So the big impact was when it went from 4 to 6, and I think we're now in a range where at least there feels like some stabilization. Most of the experts out there are predicting somewhere in fourth quarter of next year that it's between 6.1 and 6.8%. So that's the interest rates. Here's the bigger problem with the interest rates is what I call a lock-in effect. Most of you know what that term is. In the most simplistic forms, the average existing mortgage rate in the country is 3.6 right now.
Yeah.
And the average money on the market today is about, what I say, 7.3, so 7.4%. So that is a gap. And so should we be out there talking people who have a 3.6% interest rate, if they don't really have to sell, should we be talking them into buying a new house and taking a rate at 7.5%? First of all, we shouldn't be talking anybody into anything. We should just be merely laying facts on facts, and people will always move. And if they have to move for lifestyle reasons, family reasons, we should encourage that. Prices, all the forecasts are that they're going to be flat or a marginal increase. Nobody right now is predicting the drop. I saw Fannie Mae predicted a slight increase, 2%. The Mortgage Bankers Association predicted a point. But again, I think a lot of that is because of the low inventory. Inventory in Oakland County, which is where you guys are at right now, is off 60% of where it was in 2019. Is that negative or positive? Or is it just information that when we're talking to our buyers, when we're talking to our clients, we need to have at our fingertips? Nationally, listings are off 39%. So the companies and the agents that consistently bring in listings in the next 6, 12, 18 months, Would you agree? I mean, they're going to dominate.
Yeah, this is not the time to pull back and kind of reserve. This is the time to go full steam ahead because there's going to be now market share out there to grab because so many agents, I mean, probably 10, 15, 20% of agents out there are going to fall off the map by the time now and next year. So that means their clients still need to sell. So there's market share out there for you to grab. You just got to find creative, consistent ways out of the box to generate new business. And that's what today is all about, is giving you guys the tools and resources and new ideas through our breakouts on what you can do to keep in front of your sellers, to generate leads, to succeed in this market, because this is a great time to be a professional.
Amen.
Because a lot of the amateurs, a lot of the part-time people who aren't dedicated to this are going to be gone. So there's market share out there for us to grab. It's an opportunity.
The pros are going to excel.
As always.
And so working on your craft, thinking about your craft, being intentional. I know we're going to talk about a few recommendations before we take questions, but I think this market demands it. And this market presents an opportunity of a lifetime. We grew as a company. Yes, we've had some explosive growth the last couple of years, but we grew the most we've ever grown in the years 2008, 2009, 2010. How many were agents in 2008, 9, 10? Not many of you. Okay. John, would you trade this market for 2008 and 2009? And equity would fall 40%. Those of you that are home back there, you lost 40% of your equity. 67% of the homes in 7, 8, 9, and 10 were distressed, meaning they were either short sales or they were bank owned. Let that sink in for a second. And yet we as a company took advantage of that because a lot of brokers got out. A lot of brokers retreated. And I think that's what Alex is talking about, which is doubling down.
Same with COVID. I mean, so agents we had in the coaching program, as opposed to staying at home, they were doing listing presentations over Zoom and FaceTime and doing showings over Zoom and FaceTime. So there's creative ways. And that's when you acquired C21 Town and Country right in the middle of COVID.
Yep.
So it's not the time to sink back and take a step back. This is a time to go full steam ahead to grab market share because it's an incredible opportunity to do so. Now, on that note, it's kind of a good segue into, so what advice do you have for everyone sitting in the audience for next year to continue to increase their business?
Yeah, so I have a lot of advice. And by the way, this advice I'm giving you guys is the exact same advice I'm taking as a leader. It's the exact same advice we're taking as a company with our management team, but be very intentional. Be very intentional in everything you do. I know your managers, you probably feel like it's a broken record, but you have to have a plan. You've got to have a business plan. You've got to have a daily routine. You've got to have a schedule because we are human beings. And if you don't have a plan and you don't have the coordinates put in your GPS, what we end up chasing is what's the most important thing right now. So be very intentional. You've got to have a business plan. Make sure you're working with your broker. You've got your dream board put together. You've got your business plan. You've got your schedule put together. I think that's critical. You got to work harder than the person next to you. So take a look around the room. Stephanie, you got to outwork Mike. She says piece of cake, Mike. I don't know how you feel about that. But you got to work harder than the next person. Working hard is good. It's healthy. You've got to outwork. And if this year wasn't where you wanted it to be, or next year, you've got a whole different level. You've got to outwork the competition, and you've got to be consistent. Every day. You stack good day after good day after good day after good day, and pretty soon you look up and massive change is taking place. You got to be consistent. If I gave all you guys a challenge and that was to get in better shape and get to the gym, what would the first month feel like in the gym? I'll relate to you because I don't get in the gym.
It's like smashing your head against the wall every day. It's brutal.
Pain.
It's pain.
Regret. There's failure. You don't see the progress you want. You've got to be consistent every day. And then the last thing, I want to hit this quickly, is I'm going to give you a word to write down: leverage. You've got to leverage your partners in all of this. See, the great thing about our company compared to any other company I've ever worked for is the only way I'm successful, the only ways the company is successful is what? That's exactly right, Kim. I mean, it is the only way, and it's a beautiful thing where it's not in spite of, it's together. And so I just want to Maybe I'll trigger some things. You're going to hear about it as the day goes, but leverage your training calendar, leverage the events. Darwin grinds every week on every single Tuesday at noon. Why wouldn't you hop on that call and fill your cup? He's putting content on there every week that's relevant. Take advantage of the events we have, weekly, monthly, annually. We're going to double down as a company on Moxie. I think Moxie is a Ferrari in our garage. Oh, yeah. And we don't know how to drive it. And there is so much with it. You need a great listing presentation to win listings. Moxie presents your answer. You need a way to stay in front of your sphere of influence consistently and automate it. Moxie engages your answer. You need a great website that links to all the other features. Moxie website is your answer. So we're going to be doing that. We have two guys. Obviously, Bob. Scott Dagley, are you in the room? He'll be here in a little bit. Scott will be the Bob DeVore on the Century 21 side. So he came over with AAA North. He's going to be training on Moxie, and so we're going to be able to divvy up some of those duties. Our marketing department, who's using the marketing department in here? Are they any good? Yeah. Do they differentiate you? Yeah. Do you feel like it's a competitive advantage? Oh, yeah. I agree. If those of you are not using it, but you don't know what they do, make sure you interview them. They're wonderful. And the content they put, the branding they put, everything they do is great. Our coaching department, you've got now how many?
I got 15 and we've got 18 total. So
Don Hendrix, James Morgan.
James Morgan, there he is right there. Put your hand up. Yep.
So if you're looking for the next level of development, you're looking to I believe you have to be humble to be coached. I also believe if you're going to reach your full potential, you've got to be coached. We can only take it to a certain level. And so if you're interested in that, if you want to take your business to the next level, if you're interested in group coaching or individual one-on-one coaching, make sure you talk to them. Leverage our partners. They're in the same boat we are. They're only as successful as we are. We're only as successful as they are. Make sure you're leveraging them.
Yeah.
And fill your cup every day. I put this quote up here just to kind of give you something to think about, but it's one of my favorite quotes. It says, games reveal what you do in practice. Practice reveals what you do on your own. What you do on your own reveals your character and your ability to motivate yourself. So I hope there's a few nuggets in there. You're going to get a lot of this all day in the breakout sessions this afternoon and the rest of the morning. So
okay. So send me some questions, guys. We don't have any as of now, so I would be remiss if I didn't ask you. You hit on a lot, which is drive, discipline, showing up every day, building day after day, week after week, month after month. What's it like to be you, making all this thing run? Like, how do you show up every day? How do you remain disciplined? How do you avoid burnout? Like, how do you keep this running every day?
It's a joy for me. So number one, I love what I do. I get great pleasure out of seeing you all reach your dreams. I think you have to be very intentional, but no different than what they have to do, Alex. They've got to have a plan. They've got to be intentional. They have to be persistent. I have to be persistent. There's things we do well. There's things we don't do well. There's things we do that we think we do well, and all of a sudden we realize coulda, woulda, shoulda, right? Mm-hmm. But I think I get the blessing of working with an amazing leadership team, an amazing group of agents, and that's what drives me every day. So
it's that consistent hunger, right?
It is.
So that never dissipates for you?
No, and I think I drive my management team sometimes crazy. Like, Mike Wagner and I've had many talks over the years, like, when's enough enough? And it's never enough. I'm sorry if that looks insane. It's never enough. I'm never satisfied. I am driven to make our company the best possible real estate company we can be. And I don't know if we can get there, but I'm going to die trying to get us there. And what that means is our company is you. So that's what drives me. So it drives me every day is our potential.
All right, so we're getting times up. I did get a couple questions in here. Okay. Well, I got 4 now. I mean, they're all coming in. Do we have time to answer them? Yes? Okay.
Okay.
We got one question. 60% of inventory in Oakland County, is that down or up? That's down, right? 60%.
Down, excuse me.
Yep. All right. Describe your ideal recruit to the CBP team.
Describe my ideal recruit for the CBP team. I mean, I think look around the room. You know, I think, you know, I look at these other companies and these other models. I mean, you know, we look for highly motivated, highly professional, honest, goal-orientated people. But we're not for everybody. We know this, don't we? We're not for every company. We're not for every agent. We're looking for full-time, success-driven people that can benefit from our tool support, coaching, and marketing. So it's a little cliche, but
It's true. It's true.
it is.
We have time for one more. So we got one.
Okay.
How can I influence mindset as a coworker and mentor in my office?
Oh, that's a great question. And I may reserve that answer till a little bit later tonight, but I think you guys are going to get a chance to hear from what I call one of those 1 in a million type personalities. Hal Elrod, and so he's going to deliver some things later on. But I think lead by example. You know, I think sometimes, you know, our talk isn't nearly as powerful as our example.
Talk is cheap.
And so if you want a change in your office, if you want people to follow you, follow your behavior, I think, you know, we've got to be that example. If you want more agents to be in the building, if you want to see a team that's more engaged, a more contagious atmosphere, then you got to be first. I'll wrap up with just my favorite quote: "Leaders eat last." And I think if you want to influence that in your office, that's really the next step. So.
We're getting a bunch of questions, so we're gonna have to address these later. But how about him, right? We got a chance to talk to him. Like, come on.